What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Destiny, and today we're going to be breaking down one of the most important subclass types to know how to play, the Devour Voidwalker Warlock. Definitely in the S tier in terms of subclasses for PvE, and a top tier one for PvP, though probably loses out to things like Striker Titan. But what doesn't lose out to Striker Titan? Let's be honest. We're going to break down this subclass from head to toe, talk about its internal synergies and ways to combo Devour, and also talk about the best items, armor, and weapons to utilize to be able to maximize its effects. But first, let's break down the class in total. We got our Nova Bomb straight out of Destiny 1, and we'll get into talking about that later. Most important about the normal combat loop of what you're going to be doing with the Devour Void is understanding the tools of how to combo and keep Devour going. First and foremost, there's two ways to activate it. Either one, by holding down your grenade button in order to consume your nade, healing yourself, and activating Devour for 9 seconds. Now, when Devour's active, you have nothing else to think about other than just getting another kill. And any kill you get is going to regen your health and also refresh Devour, resetting its cooldown to 9 seconds. The other option is your power melee, which will in itself heal you and resets Devour once again. So now we have two ways to activate Devour. Vortex is going to buff our Nova Bomb slightly, but the last and most important perk is Insatiable, which I already mentioned. Getting kills with Devour active resets it, but it also recharges your nade. Now, not fully, but enough to be very noticeable that when you're stacking kills with Devour on, you're going to get your nade more often, meaning that you more often can possibly consume it to heal yourself or just be throwing them out willy-nilly. Now, we're going to go over the rest of the class and then break down using it effectively in different situations when playing Destiny 2. I think you'd have to be pretty greedy to go for Empowering Rift beyond things like damage phases during a boss battle for the raid. Stacking up against Callus can be quite good, but in the normal gameplay, PvP or PvE, it's hard to create those situations where you don't need healing and you just can rely on amping your damage. Healing Rift is just the easier playstyle for all things Warlock. It allows you to stand in a spot and not die, which is a blessing, but also help your teammates. It's hard to find instances where Empowering Rift would be more beneficial. The Voidwalker nades are pretty good. However, the scattered nade is a bit haphazard for me to feel very confident using in any situation, really. Axion Bolt is going to have a smaller damage output, however, very reliable because it seeks targets. Likely going to be a bit better in PvP. However, seeing as we are kind of an ad-killing beast, we don't really need help getting kills with our nade when using Devour Warlock. Instead, I always go for the Vortex nade, which just like our Nova Bomb, you can stick to a heavy enemy and it does tons of damage over time. And the reason why I use that leads us into explaining the gameplay loop of Devour Warlock. As long as you can efficiently focus through ads, you can have infinite health and stay in the fight forever. But when you build your class in order to do that, your weakness is going to be against bigger targets because if you take too long to kill a target, you're not going to be rechaining your Devour. Ideally, you'd like to just keep shooting and finishing off ads so you keep getting healed, keep Devour active, and the reason why we use Nova Bomb and our Vortex nade is so that we can set the damage on a heavy boss and then ignore them in order to go kill ads to keep our health regenning. So now I'm going to talk about the general gameplay of doing this and activating it in a fight. Normally, in a very hectic room where you're either soloing a slightly difficult section like a heroic event by yourself or a strike, in clutch scenarios, in different raids that'll be coming up, the way to maximize Devour Void is to realize, one, when you're not in threat of taking damage, you don't need it. Every other class plays just fine without needing this, by the way, so the way we make it an advantage is when you use it when it's required. So if you're at a safe distance and you can poke down key enemies, don't worry about Devour until you want to get into basically a really gung-ho in the action play style. Then you want to pop it. So we poke down from afar, wait till we're in heat, then I would say pop Devour in the one of two ways. Either by reliably meleeing a target, which I'm going to say is definitely the way you want to go most times if you can help it, or in the pinch, if you're running away to recover, hiding behind cover, you can consume your nade in order to heal yourself, get Devour back, and then head back into battle. Now I'm going to get specific and talk about the gear that works well in this kit. I've seen some say that Strum and Drang are really good for keeping up efficiency because they reload each other, and as long as you can keep shooting, you can keep killing and keep healing. But the weapons I like the best are the Better Devils and Risk Runner, the exotic SMG. The reason why I like these the best is because Devour Void, especially with a key piece of armor that I'll break down in a second, is a close range kit. One, you're not really taking advantage of Devour unless you're in the fight, taking on damage and focus fire from the enemy adds so that your teammates aren't getting hit. If you're not using that health that you're gaining, it's not getting as much value as it otherwise could. You actually are a tank, basically, playing the Devour Warlock, so utilize that with close range guns. The reason I love the Better Devils in this kit is because it has such a reliable impact. Unlike other hand cannons, although they do have good close range headshot damage, the Better Devils has a very reliable hitbox and also staggers enemies, which is going to be very key. And comboing with your Vortex and Nova Bomb, when you launch those at bosses and stagger them while they're stuck in it, lots of continuous damage, making them easy to take down. The thing is with Devour, you want to be able to reliably and efficiently get add kills when you need them, and being able to slowly take aim with the Better Devils and guarantee a one-shot kill to a crit spot, my efficiency with the weapon feels really great. Now, there's other weapons you can put in the kinetic spot. I think auto rifles are quite good. I'm a big fan of the Origin Story here, which is great in PvP as well, because the Origin Story has Rampage. So getting a kill lets us do more damage, so we can shred through adds with ease. Depending on the types of adds you're dealing with, the bigger they are, the more forgiving the Origin Story will be, the more precise you have to be. I like the Better Devils a little bit more. It all depends on its personal preference, ultimately. But the one that I don't negotiate with is the Risk Runner, which is an exotic quest item that you can get from the main campaign. It's one of two options from Asher on IO, and this weapon is so good it might be worth starting a new character just to go get it, mainly for its trait called Superconductor, which activates whenever you take arc damage, and about a third of the enemies in the game deal arc damage, and when you are fighting those enemies, well, you just turn into Raiden from Mortal Kombat. Taking arc damage dishes out a lightning storm onto the adds in front of you and reloads your magazine, meaning you can shoot forever and wipe out hordes of enemies. This is insane. I mean, it pretty much is a free win on any environment that has arc enemies around, and a lot more are than you think, not just the Fallen. But that's the most obvious one. I mean, you just won't lose Devour with this being the case. Nobody has to worry about adds of this type if you're in the fire team. The Risk Runner is just insane, and not to mention, it's just a good SMG all around anyway. Low recoil, 41 bullets in the mag, great handling speed, all around this weapon's sick, and it really fits well into the close range Devour Warlock playstyle. Now, for our heavy weapon, this is gonna be kind of dealer's choice. You're gonna have to ask yourself, do you feel lucky? Well, do you? No. Whether you want to be better at dealing damage to bosses or dealing with adds. You can kind of split the difference with that and use a shotgun or a sword, but you're going to be so effective at dealing with adds anyway with your first two weapons, you definitely don't need a heavy weapon to do so. So if you want to put a rocket launcher to be able to do burst damage to heavies, that's fine too. But I've personally kept with the theme, trying to get a good shotgun in this slot. Anything that reloads itself for whatever reason is quite good. A lot of the swords return ammo on hits, depending on the sword type you have. Anything that's gonna keep you in the fight and swinging is what you want. The Complex Solution has Tireless Blade, which lets powered sword kills grant ammo, keeping you swinging. It Stared Back basically has the triple tap version for swords, Relentless Strikes. Landing 3 strikes will give you more ammo. Anything like that will be good. And the cherry on top on this entire build is the Karstein? I don't know. It has Vampire's Caress on it, which is the key takeaway here. If you get this exotic, you can take everything I just said and then spam melee more, because it has an insane modifier on your melee. Now, also, regular melees will heal you a bit as well, but also recharge your power melee grenade and class ability. I mean, wow. So if you ever feel you can sneak in a melee, which you're going to need close range weapons to do so, the Karstein amulets just keeps everything going. Even more so. Keeping Devourer up regens your nade. Sneaking in melees either regenerates Devour, heals you, and regenerates your cooldowns now. So honestly, any excuse you can find to melee, you're gonna want to use. And also with the Karstein armlets, I feel like you can be more nade happy, because without them, I always felt like I wanted to hold on to my nade just in case I had to duck away to heal myself. Well now, since you're gonna have your cooldowns on such a recurring pace, you can play far more aggressively with this subclass, tossing nades more willy-nilly, so much so that you might even try the Axion Bolt nades that seek enemies. Personal preference, I still keep the Vortex on though, like to toss it on bosses and such. But in general, because you're gonna be getting your abilities so much faster if you just keep meleeing, you're never really gonna be at a loss to have Devour or to have something lethal to kill someone with. The pace of the character just goes way up. Now, I focused everything around PvE because I think that's where the Devour Warlock shines. Obviously, with ads around, it's much easier to get Devour chaining. However, with some sick tactical aggression, you can pop Devour, run down an enemy with a sword, and obnoxiously tear through an enemy team if you're good enough. I'm not that good at PvP in general, much less even that somewhat cheesy-ish playstyle. There are some tactics around it that I've been able to improve myself to extend the amount of aggression I can have taking on multiple enemies. However, the whole you want to be in close range thing doesn't apply too much to PvP oftentimes, but I still think that's where you're going to shine if you can create those scenarios. Swords in general are already good, even scarier when you're healing yourself as you're swinging through the enemy team. And for me, the Better Devils is a competitive PvP weapon. When you know that your melee can possibly heal you and activate Devour, you can kind of methodically move through a couple kills if you're really careful about it. But I think even more so, I probably would advise an auto rifle for PvP to make use of this playstyle. The thing is, you could say Mida rules the world in the laning PvP nature of the game, but if you're doing so, you're pretty much not going to get Devour value, I think. You kind of have to press the issue. You have to find yourself in ways to get another kill within that 9 seconds, otherwise you might as well be using a different subclass. This playstyle feels good to me in objective-based modes where there's added value to have a player that wants to play this aggressively, someone picking up the tags or engaging the fights on a flag, things like this. You can cross a line of sight in order to get good positioning, consume your nade, and bait the enemy into pursuing you when they think you're down on HP. Consuming your nade is faster than even dropping your healing rift, and the healing applies instantly, so it's even better than using that can be. The only problem is throwing nades are often better than using them to heal, so overall this is a little bit gimmicky, which is why I wouldn't rate it too high in terms of competitive ways to play the game. Also, Nova Bomb is middling in terms of its success as a super. It's a fun way to approach PvP for sure, but not the best, I would say. Using the nade just to heal yourself to pop Devour, I think, isn't as efficient as you could be if you just accurately threw a nade at an enemy, which can guarantee a kill anyway. But I'm not the PvP expert here, so you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Is this also a sick build for PvP? Tell us any stories you have of succeeding with the Devour Warlock in PvP, but also let me know if this guide helped you in unlocking some serious Warlock power in PvE, because I think that's where it looks best. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please subscribe and follow us on Twitter and check out our Discord server, all linked in the description. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for Your Destiny. I'll see you guys next time.